It's the beer video lightning round. Uh,
Hell,
Brian's terrible at scheduling and planning his day. Um, and then all of a sudden it's 6:41 and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
cool. And I have to go to bed at an absurdly early hour because I'm kind of putting out fires at work because whenever I go on vacation, disaster happens.
Oh, don't you know it? Yeah, I just had a discussion with my manager this week about how I don't take enough days off and that she was like, "You taking any days off around the election?" I was like, "Yeah, probably."
Oh,
Because
I
I'm
have the
either
day after off. And yeah, yeah. And then I just planned Matt and I's big road burn vacation for next year. So I guess people are just going to have to deal with that.
yeah,
Yeah. So whatever. We're
yeah.
going to France this time. Oh.
Oh, we got
All
to
right.
do a beer
Went
video
first
for
last week.
friends.
I can never remember. I'm sorry. I'm useless.
Oh, you went first last week. I have the sticky
Okay.
stuff. And
All
now I'm
right.
going to take it down because all right. So and it's good that we didn't punt on this video because this it still would have made sense last week, but maybe not as much. But I have a beer from East End Brewing, which is very close to where I live, meaning my house. It's called a bourbon barrel aged Nunkin Ale. So it is a spiced ale that doesn't say much about it. I'm just going to assume it's like pumpkin spiced because there's not much of a description on it, which is fine. 7.9% alcohol. And we're drinking out of a New Japan Lion Mark glass that I got made at the Renaissance Festival several years ago. Yeah. And
I
this,
love artists at the Ren Fest. I mean, I have heard it's been a real issue with like um resellers and people saying selling like printed prints of AI garbage lately, but I don't know. I got like one of those like kind of removable belt pockets at one years ago, and I love that thing. It's great.
I also got this knife that
All Ninja, what is that?
just a little knife. Looks like a little dragon. Yeah. This is this is for the day after the election.
Uh,
Oh, cool. I can't get it back in its thing. There we go. Anyway, yeah, that's what it looks like, outside of it. Anyway, Renfest. Beer. So let's see. Doesn't have much of a spicy, it just smells like an ale. So let's oh boy, but the wow, that spice packs a punch. Wow. This is spicier than I expected. Um, but very pleasant. Wow, there is so much taste up front in this. A lot of cinnamon, a lot of nutmeg, a little bit of clove. Um, really nice aftertaste. The beer itself is really crisp. Um, it's got a good bite to it, so way to go on the carbonation. Um, yeah, this is perfect. It's really cold. Well, really cold. It's I don't know what the temperature is. It's probably like upper 40s outside right now. So this is a perfect beer for this time of year. I'm not going to build a campfire tonight, but if I was going to, this would be decent to have around. This might even taste good room temperature. Um,
yeah.
which, as we know, all good beers, if you can drink it at room temperature and it's a lot of beers, stouts and stuff like that, things with a little bit more flavor to it are actually served more at that.
Yeah, a thing I learned while wasting time on Reddit recently was apparently that's a huge English versus German cultural feud is like
Oh,
what beers to serve at room temperature
yeah.
as a neutral to stay out of this. I will say, I think a lot of beers like something that isn't like super light like a Kolsch as probably perfectly fine at room temperature, but
Yeah.
I ultimately think it's up to personal preference, freedom, America, Eagles and shit.
Eagles. Yeah. I mean, it's the funny thing about like a lot of the the big label American beers are always like it's served tongue-splittingly cold. It's because they don't want you to taste it because it doesn't either doesn't taste like anything or it just tastes like piss. So that's why you were being served and why Americans have had this cold beer thing driven into their brains is because we're used to being served beers that aren't that tasty. And
Oh, I don't think we have a monopoly on piss beer. I
oh,
have,
I'm not saying we do, but I'm saying that the overall mainstream messaging is like drink it as cold as it can be.
well, I pounded enough ice cold Estrellas when I was in Spain to tell you that the main appeal of that beer is, in fact, the temperature.
Right.
No hate on
Right.
Estrella. I think it's actually pretty decent for a cheap beer. Yeah. So, quick shirt note. This is from a clothing line called Norwegian Rat.
I love it.
That's
What's
some
something destructive and
found worldwide.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, this is their little rat logo. I think it's a friend of Gall's that runs this clothing line, and I bought this at Gallery Fjallar. And
Ah,
um,
speaking of Gall, I listened to the new Traldom album today, like twice through whenever I was out driving. It's fucking so good. It's so good. It gets better every time I hear it.
which is dumb because my friend bought it when we were at Fjallar, so I really got to get around to that.
It's so
Um,
good.
yeah, cool. I believe it. I really like the last two Gall's Weird releases.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'm just wearing a Tomb old long sleeve. That's all. That's it.
it
Just
is
a
definitely season.
yeah, finally. I this is my second day in a row wearing a long sleeve, and it's going to be 80 degrees tomorrow. So,
Yeah, it's weirdly hot around here this coming week too. So that's gonna be, not I'm not gonna have like a low-key life crisis about it. Okay, I really wanted to show this one off because it's very dumb. Like I was originally gonna try to find that pickled ginger beer just to make you really annoyed, but
oh yeah, yeah.
I couldn't like not buy this one.
Oh shit.
This is a collaboration between Testament, the band Testament, and Modist, and it's named Apocalyptic City after I think that's the song on the Legacy, right?
I believe so, yeah.
That is actually the one Testament album I own, but for the record, I do really like it. Um, Testament was never a band that was like one of my absolute favorites, but I don't know. I like them. I think they're pretty solid. They've put out some pretty solid albums. It seems like they've gotten into weird conspiracy stuff recently. I have not done a deep dive on this, and boy, I hope it isn't any QAnon shit, but
It's not because Alex Skolnick is pretty fucking liberal.
cool. Like, because Brotherhood of the Snake was one that came on a couple of my like randomly generated playlists, and I was
Yeah,
listening. I was like, this song's really, really good, like for like a thrash band and kind of their late period.
yeah.
And then like I watched the lyric video, I'm like, boy, this is getting like a little into like tinfoil territory here. Like I don't know if it's like just for like vibes and atmosphere, if he like actually like believes in like secret world governments or whatever, but like it did leave me like a little like, hey, does Grandpa need to log off? What's going on here?
From what I remember, I think it's more like a song they wrote just about it and not necessarily
Okay,
supporting it.
and that eases my mind.
Yeah.
So this is a West Coast IPA. Someday I'll actually look up these beer styles before talking about them. With pale ale malts, gold pills, Vienna malts, dry hopped with hand-selected Simcoe, Citra, Mosaic, and Sultana. Okay, and I've just got my generic RPG Tavern mug.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Testament was actually that my gateway band into like heavier forms of metal. So they always have a soft spot in my heart. I remember seeing the Trial by Fire video on Headbangers Ball and being like, what the fuck is this? So they were very formative for me in my metal youth.
We got like medium amber here. Oh, smells like an IPA, I guess. Mm. Yeah, definitely on the fruiteries. Why can't I speak now? Fruit your side. Jesus.
Jet lag.
I got back on Wednesday, man. Like I
It's
can't. that as an excuse anymore. It's just like I can't talk. My newly 40-year-old brain is fucking melting apparently.
It's long jet lag.
Yeah, long form jet lag. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
just gonna use that forever.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I didn't show off this can enough. It's really good.
the can does rule.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah. It instantly grabbed me because I'm like, I love cheesy ass heavy metal album art looking cans. And then finding that out was like it was for an metal band. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
yeah. If
So
you, I'd just say for anybody listening, or watching or whatever, if
impressed.
you have any inclination into heavier metals and want to check stuff out, if you listen to Testament's New Order, it holds up. Like I've listened to it recently, and I'm like, this record, that and Legacy, both great fucking records. Practice
Yeah.
What You Preach was sort of their breakthrough. Like that, they didn't get huge off of it, but that's really when Testament's kind of profile got pretty big for a while. And they did that record, and then they kind of rushed an album out after that, Souls of Black, that was okay. It was sort of like
All
Practice What You Preach B.
over. Are they considered big four? I
They're
think.
not. No.
Ooh, okay, that's Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, and Anthrax.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Anthrax, like maybe this is a little unkind, but I feel like they kind of occupy a rotating slot that could have been taken by like any of the kind of like second tier famous. And I don't refer to like music quality, just like second tier, like not quite as big as the other three. Because I
Yeah.
so I don't know. Testament could be in there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot you could, you could kind of switch in, even like an Overkill. Granted, I know that Bobby Blitz has some pretty shitty views, so I'm not endorsing Overkill, but at least at that time you could have switched them in because they
I
put
think
out.
a lot of older thrash fans have gone boomer grandpa and like Testament not doing so, good for them.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
necessarily a surprise when I like saw Slayer was leaning into that, but like the
Well,
way
it's just Tom Araya. That's the only guy in Select because Kerry King is like not into that at all.
yeah, that's unfortunate because Tom Araya always seemed like the chillest one. It's like
We'll leave
how
it to the Catholic in the band.
Catholicism rots brains.
Yeah,
I think we both know, right?
yeah. The our one of so we used to have a liberal newspaper and a conservative newspaper in Pittsburgh. We no longer have that. We basically have a conservative newspaper and a conservative newspaper. And the loud conservative newspaper is the former liberal newspaper because it's owned by the Block family who own the Toledo Blade and they're big fucking Trump dick suckers. They ran an editorial this week by JD Vance about why Kamala Harris is like anti-Catholic. Like, first of all, you're just making me horny when you say that because that just
Is
makes me want to vote for her more.
is JD Vance Catholic?
I don't fucking know. Probably. I don't think he is actually, but I don't know.
I mean, like I can see him um kind of getting into Catholicism because like someone told him you get to drink blood during mass
Yeah.
and no one told him that was kind of a metaphor.
Let's see. So JD Vance used to be an atheist. He's not. Well,
And
this thing here is saying he's a Catholic. So
oh boy.
yeah, he converted. He converted to Catholicism. So even worse. Even worse.
Converts are fucking freaks, man. Like cradle Catholics, as we call people like raised in the faith, like sometimes they turn out perfectly normal,
Yeah.
whether they're in the faith or not. But like converts, every
Oh,
single adult Catholic convert I've like ever met or interacted with in any way or like known about via their writing or whatever, absolute fucking freak.
yeah.
Like I listened to them talk for 5 minutes. I'm like, someone needs to look on your hard drive. There's gonna be some shit on there.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that there was a New York Times, Washington Post, one of the legacy newspapers.
Hmm.
They had I don't remember her name, but she was like a liberal Catholic columnist and like I didn't quite beef with her as much as like some people did. Like, I mean, not personally. I don't know her. Maybe she's perfectly fine in person, but she still had this kind of like slimy disingenuousness about like how she talked about stuff like gay rights and like abortion rights. And Like she has been very, very silent on like the writing front ever since the Dobbs decision, which makes me think like, oh, this was what you wanted, wasn't it? Like
Yeah.
I I don't know. And I guess my point is she was an adult convert, which like makes me think like, like you are saying things that I nominally agree with, but like I still don't fucking trust you. Like adult
Yeah.
Catholic converts, all freaks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 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 not afraid to say that too. Like I was born Catholic, I was raised Catholic. I've seen all the bullshit and a friend of mine killed himself unalived. I'm sorry. Hopefully YouTube doesn't ban this video because I said that word.
Right on TikTok, don't worry about it.
He committed suicide in whenever we were 15 years old. And they basically because we all had Iron Maiden lyrics and symbols in our notebooks.
See,
They
going.
they meaning the school that we went to that was a Catholic high school and the local police department just brushed it off as Satanism because they were like they looked at Bob, his name is Bob. They looked at his notebook, saw the Iron Maiden symbols, and they're like, Satanism. And it's like, okay, then we're all Satanists because we all have these symbols in our notebooks.
And Bruce Dickinson isn't even a fucking Satanist. Like,
None of them are
no, and they aren't even a particularly Satan-y band.
at all. Like everybody points to Number of the Beast, and it's like that song's about a dream Steve Harris had. Like that's what that song's about.
But the Satan in the song is meant to be scary.
Yes. Yes.
If you're literate enough to like understand the itsy bitsy spider, like you can figure that out.
Yeah. There's literally parts of the song where he's saying, like, I must inform the law. Like, why would he be doing that if it was a pro-Satan song? He
Yeah.
stumbled upon a ritual and he wants to inform the authorities. But anyway, my friend who, like I said, who killed himself, we found out years later that his parish priest was one of the people that was on that list that whenever Pennsylvania did their investigation of priests that were hurting kids, he was on it. And so there's a belief that that could have had something to do with it. 15 years old. So fuck you if you know, fuck Catholicism, fuck all of that shit. I mean, how many more children do have to get hurt? How many more kids have to be killed and buried? Like, how
Yeah.
the fuck do
I think
people even support this shit?
I have a troubled relationship with Catholicism because, whatever, hashtag not all Catholics. I
Yeah,
know some people who, for whatever reason, I can't comprehend it, are sticking with the church and trying to do good in it. The Catholic Church does have a tradition of um economic justice, even if
mhm,
like utterly fucked on social issues.
yeah,
If you look at, for example, some of the Catholic-led movements in Latin America, which is where the current Pope is from, which is kind of why he's like bad about gay shit, but like says like borderline communist stuff about like
yeah,
wealth equality. Uh, yeah, but like it frustrates me sometimes that Catholics have this huge persecution complex. Like,
yeah,
you have the literal biggest religion in the world, you freaks. Let's just fucking take the win, I guess, at
yeah,
everyone else's expense.
yeah,
But I don't know. Like, I don't know if it can be reformed, but I hope like the people that are pushing for more of a focus on like the justice aspects of the church,
yeah,
some stuff it's been good on, and not like the fucking pedo apologia or the like hunting down gay people. Like, God, I hope the better ones win. I'm still gonna have a fair amount of beef with the Catholic Church, but like, I don't know. I'd rather argue with someone who like still agrees with me that there should be universal health care than like a
yeah,
complete fucking goblin like JD Vance that's just like, like torch the gays and also fuck the poor.
yeah. You know what I have to say to any Catholic out there that's going to, not speak out against hurting children and pedophilia in their organization? That. That's all. That's my answer. So, anyway, I've threatened violence and I said the word killed. So, probably nobody's going to see this video. Who cares? Um,
I will add that if any of you bitches have seen The Wicker Man, boy, I'm gonna take you to a cliff. And
I don't think there's any better way to end this video than that. To the cliff. We'll see y'all next week. Next week we'll be really nervous 'cause it's gonna be right before the election, and
I'm gonna throw up.
I'm gonna throw up. All right, we'll see you next week.